Por eso es que ando con mi arpa. Te he visto que a Saúl tiraba la lanza. A Pablo picaron el cuello por venganza. Aquí no hay miedo, varón, los tuyos se cansan. Yeah, por eso yo no creo en ganga. Tu almero a tus enemigos vendió las armas. Hay muchos que están a punto de perder su alma. Aquí no hay miedo, varón, los tuyos se cansan. Yeah, siempre real, mi negro nunca fake. Tengo una corona, rey, libre de pecado. Ey, ven mira pa' acá. Ey, quiero más palabras y más dones. Los salvos ya pasaron los portones. Se entregó Cristo pa' que nos perdonen. Se entregó Cristo pa' que nos perdonen. Preso expose, el cielo close. Te llevan la rose a la tumba, los bros. Camino, dose, te hiciste famoso. Pero la fama no va a salvarte del infierno. Fue difícil, pero lo logramos. No teníamos fe y multiplicamos el grano. Escarnecieron, de mí hablaron. Jesús dice que ama y no amaron. Por eso es que ando con mi arpa. Te he visto que Saúl tiraba la lanza. A Pablo picaron el cuello por venganza. Aquí no hay miedo, varón, los tuyos se cansan. Yeah, por eso yo no creo en ganga. Tu almero a tus enemigos vendió las armas. Hay muchos que están a punto de perder su alma. Aquí no hay miedo, varón, los tuyos se cansan. Yeah,
hey, muy buenas noches. Oh my God, I don't have translation today. Tonight, I'm like, muy buenas noches. And she's like, okay, I'm here. What's up, people? Good evening. This is your show, The Jump Off. Here, Pastor Carlos Martinez. You already know our co-host, Dana, Adriana. Everybody's in the house. We got Sabrina from Color Tyze. We have a beautiful show for you tonight, guys. A very informative. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be crazy. We're gonna bring to you guys raw, how we do all the time. We do it raw, straight up. I gotta share a couple of things. I'm like, but let me just give a little bit of chat so you can.
Hey! It's so exciting. I'm excited to be back. I had an amazing trip out in Florida. When you sit down and discuss gangs and talk to our youth, you never know what you're gonna get. But the one thing I do know is we did an amazing interview, and I got these gang members to share their heart and to actually look at life a little different. And it was just an amazing time. I'm looking forward to doing more interviews. I have a mom who's lost 2 boys, her oldest and her youngest, to gang violence within 6 months apart of each other. And so we're going to interview her as well. The documentary is just going to be so powerful, and I pray that it moves mountains and some of these kids get to realize what's really happening in these gangs.
Yeah, it's tonight's show is about our young people. It's about people who are doing what they have to do for God. It's about family. It's about kids. It's about community. It's about all of that tonight. So what we're doing here tonight, it's not just a show. You know what I mean? This is have to do with our community, with our family, with what are we doing on with our kids. With our loved ones, with the people who are gonna be the people that are gonna carry that next step or that next time in our life. You understand? Like, it's our kids. They're gonna bring our young ones.
They're our future.
That's right. And yeah, sometimes it's when we say these people, these kids, they are our future. They are our future. But let me tell you something. They are our present. They here now.
Right.
They here now, and we have to start doing things like that. I got a big situation right here because I'm trying to share something, and I'm getting out of my. I'm like, when you're trying to do something and it just don't happen.
Yeah. Technical difficulties, they call it.
Oh my goodness, it's like, oh my God, you try to do something and they do it whenever they feel like it. But what you're gonna do is technical word. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us, Sabrina, which is the CEO. She's the founder of Color Tyze. She's the person who who God put the vision. God chose her to start this organization, this movement, this program, however you want to call it. You know what I mean? But she's the person that God chose to start doing something like that. And let me explain something to you real quick. She's in Florida. You know what I mean? Sometimes, at the beginning of when we started doing things and we got the name of Roots and everything else, we, to be honest with you, we didn't, I'm talking about me now, I didn't realize, at the moment. But now when you start seeing things and you're like, oh my God, Roots is already in Florida. They already, working with Color Tyze to build something over there, and that we can help our community and we can help our kids in that area, on that, part of the world, which have different situations than us here in Pennsylvania, So, welcome, Sabrina.
Hi guys.
All right, I gotta hear it like really hard. Like, welcome, Sabrina. um, Sabrina.
Dime.
Okay. We want to we have a show tonight that is not like a regular show. We got clips for you. You're gonna hear things from the people who are the protagonists of this story that we are telling you tonight. But first of all, I want Sabrina to tell us more or less, Sabrina, how this started, how Color Tyze started, and the vision, and just tell the people out there how these things have come to life.
So ColorTyze was the aftermath of a really, really bad situation that broke my home. It was made to destroy me in a sense. Um, at the time that I was going through the havoc, just in a minor detail, my son decided to leave home, and he's affiliated with an active gang. So it kind of it felt really, really hard on the family. It felt hard on my health. I didn't know how to deal with it. It was a bad situation, and we didn't know how to cope. And coming to that realization, I asked myself a question, like, why don't we have support, the people that are impacted by these types of situations where our kids are exposed to lifestyles that we don't choose for them, and we know how dangerous for them it can be, but we can't separate from them because they're still our kids. You understand what I'm saying? It opens up a whole different perspective of how many other young adults are impacted in situations either like this one, similar or diverse, but still nonetheless that family, that individual's family has been impacted by that choice. And there's no support for families that are being broken apart like us. So I decided to take a different approach and start some support for families like that. And it just kind of changed along the way. I mean, the vision is still primarily to offer support and rebuild what's been destroyed and kind of build a bridge somehow. But I see that the need is more dire with the children, with the youth, and the resources that they're limited to. They really don't have, the and I'm trying to minimize my the way I'm gonna say this. They really don't have the resources that the upper class have. You know, our situation, it affects us in our backyard because we're in a minority situation. So there's a lack of things that these kids can actually do. So what do? They get into trouble.
Wow, it's frustrating, right?
It's very frustrating. And it's even more frustrating when, the lack of communication within the village, the community.
Okay.
That's a big issue because everybody's breaking their heads about how the situation got to be what it is, and nobody's looking for a solution.
Right.
So this is where the birth of Color Tyze began. I was really upset with God because I didn't understand his process for me. I didn't want that. But I had to have it. I had to go through it in order to see this vision and be a change. Like, you could sit around and say you want to see something different all day, but if you're not doing anything, then nothing's going to change.
Yeah, and sadly, that's it's what you said in the beginning. We doesn't have the help or the resources enough to help our kids in the community.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's many components when it comes to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, many components. That we working on try to
Definitely.
yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. Actually, redirecting my focus and gearing it towards these children, I've been exposed to seeing things that, like, ordinarily I would have maybe overlooked if I didn't deal with the kids.
Mm. Which allows you to see things like you said, that
Right.
sometimes we think it's not happening in our
Right.
community. Sometimes they think is, that's all, over there. It's not happening here. But the reality is shocking. The reality, it's not, just
Definitely.
like that. Tonight I have Dana with us, at the jump off. Usually Dana is with us at the mob, and she's a very active person, one of the leaders, very active in our ministry, in Roots Living Ministry. And she had the opportunity to go to Florida and do a couple of interviews with you and the guys, which is an amazing, right?
It was.
Tell us,
Gosh, there's so much to talk about. I guess it was wonderful to be able to connect and to meet these young men and to really hear their heart. And I guess, for me, I'm coming from a gang life, so I don't have any fear or intimidation. I guess the average person looking in wouldn't have saw the things I saw in these young men. And they have great hearts. They've been through ups and downs in life, and I think that one of the gentlemen spoke about not getting along with his mom and not being able to stay at home, and that's what kind of pushed him to where he's at. Um,
really?
but he talked about going day by day without even eating.
Which is really hard. Right now, we're gonna be talking about it here, but at the same time, guys, we're gonna let you see and we're gonna let you hear from them. So right now, we're gonna play a clip from you guys from that interview that Donna and Sabrina did for us, so you can have a better idea. Now, well, I would not say a better idea, so you can have a role. So we're gonna put a clip, and I'm gonna tell you guys up front. I'm gonna be real. Listen, Pastor Carlos is like that. You cannot expect for these kids. They're gonna be a little bit of foul language, whatever you consider foul language, or it's bad or it's not. Listen, we cannot look at those things right now. Okay.
Right.
This is not what we're looking for. We cannot correct somebody talking, oh, he needs to talk good or talk bad. Listen, that's not what we're looking for right now. That is secondary at this moment. When you got people and young kids, they are involved in gangs, you know what I mean? And you talking to them, you want to listen to them. You don't want to start correcting people right away. All of these things are going to be corrected later on. But now, I'm sorry, if you're going to feel bothered by it, ¿cómo tú dices eso? El
Foul
vocabulario.
language.
Yeah, I'm sorry if you feel in the same way. I really am, but we have to do this raw. Okay, so I'm sorry, guys, but here's the clip and a question that Donna and Sabrina asked to them about why they join in. Okay, it was just a couple of seconds and it'll be there. We want you to hear this, guys. Just bear with us, okay?
One by one, talk to me. What brought y'all guys to here?
I had just moved back from out of state, yeah. And what you gonna call it? And my girlfriend of like 3 years had just passed, so I had nobody. And I was brand new to the state, so I ain't know nothing. So I was 14 and I started affiliating with Bloods. So I started doing shit I was doing, and then around when I was like 16 is when I got brought home. And then from there I just took off on my own. Shit, I had to do what I had to do to get to where I wanted, because once I was 17, I had a mindset of I didn't want to be told what to do no more. I didn't want to be told I had to go do this and do that. I wanted to be the top, where I ain't gotta listen to nobody.
And did you think joining the gang was gonna make a difference for you?
Yeah, because it gave me stability.
Okay.
Because it gave me like people I knew was gonna have my back, no questions asked.
Family.
There was no, well, if I do this and this happens to me and I call him, is he going ride? It was always nah, he is. Like if I call him, bam, he dead. I need that sense right there in my head. That's what I'm saying. If I have doubt in you as pulling up, then I can't even. There's no loyalty. Right. That's loyalty over everything.
Here, a little bit of it, we're gonna keep showing you guys clips of it because in reality, for you to watch the whole interview and see everything that happened, and that day, you were gonna go to Color Tyze where they're gonna premiere the video about the whole information and everything that is happening at that moment. But we just wanted to give you guys heads up, when and telling you guys that what we're doing is real. You know what I mean? This is raw. These people, these young kids are active at this moment. And it's amazing to see two different gangs in one place talking about their situation or what they're going through. This is not an easy cake, what they just did right there. You have two guys from different sets, from different gangs, right?
They're from the same gang but different sets.
Okay, all right. I don't have like the whole printout of how that works, because even though I came from the same place that they come from, I was not affiliated
right.
with a gang. I never was affiliated with gangs. That was not my style. I'm not knocking anybody. Everybody's different when they
lone
there.
wolf.
Yeah, it was different for me. But Sabrina.
Yes.
How when you are doing this interview, right, and going through this whole situation, and you finally got them there to talk to people from different, what is described to us? What is the feeling? What is it that you go through? What does it go through your mind, and how do you feel when actually you got to have two guys from different sets to talk?
To be honest with you, it's a privilege because I get to listen to hear, and when you listen to hear, you gain understanding. So I listen to hear what it is that they're trying to articulate. And being that they are two different individuals, ordinarily they have diverse senses of views, but they do collaborate a lot on certain topics, certain issues. They feed off of each other's energy, and I get to see this.
Okay.
So it's almost, it's a blessing in disguise, because if you can see how they complement one another, you can see how if you were to implement something productive for them to do, they take off.
And that's one of the things that I spoke to them about. I know that the money looks good and the cars and, the family. My thing was, once you got in, was it all that it was cracked up to be? Everything that you saw that you thought the gang had to offer, is that what you really got? And
as I'm watching I'm listening to what they saying, right? And I picked up something that he said right away. He said, because they don't tell me what to do all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be honest with you. Because this got two sides. There's two sides of the story, right? Just because young kids like that, they ain't gangs and stuff like that. You cannot have corazón blandito,
a soft heart.
A soft heart when it comes to certain things, and they're gonna talk about it, and they're gonna. Good evening, Charlene. Good evening. Nice to have you with us. It's at the same time, we have to. Be precise and be truthful to ourselves and the things that we do. Like he said, I didn't want nobody to tell me what to do.
Right.
And I understand that. But at the same time, what we can take from that, what we can learn from something like that, what he's saying, you know what I mean? And the truth is that parents sometimes want to tell their kids things like what is happening to him. You know, they telling him what to do, but from the parent, there's no explanation. There's no
As to
education.
why, right? It's
Yes,
just
Right.
that is.
orders, orders,
We
orders.
imposing
Right.
orders without what you said in the beginning. Listening,
Right.
listen. You know, and we sometimes impose orders like you have to do this, but we're not educating them. And I can see the frustration there. It's like you telling me, you know, no this, no, and everything. You know, when usually people get like that, it's because no, 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 no.
Right.
It's a no all the time behind
Get
the.
tired of it.
You know, and you don't get to explain why not, or why we should do this, or why we should do that. You know, the sense of responsibility is being out the window,
Right.
and we need to bring that sense back. You know, understand? And that's something that I noticed in the interview right away. You know, I can't wait, to be honest with you, to see the whole thing when Color Tyze just throw that interview there and we can see the whole thing. You know what I mean? Because it's gonna be an eye opener. It's gonna be a learning experience for a lot of us. You know, we walking now into this field, and this is why we doing this. I want everybody to know, you know, Color Tyze is part of root tats. You know, it's like I don't know, like you know, I want to, you know, we tight. It's
It's a sister company.
it's
yeah.
the two organizations that works together. You know what I mean? It's just like your big brother help on the little brother. The little brother help the big brother. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It's just how it is. It's how it works. And you know, kudos, Sabrina, because
Thank
you
you.
are getting into a place where not everybody wants to go in. And
Right.
this
I
is,
didn't want to go in either, Carlos. I ain't gonna lie.
I love your honesty.
She went kicking and screaming, and she's
I
still
sure
kicking
did.
and
I tried to
screaming.
run away from this, like, no, it can't be, it can't be. But you know what? It is what it is. And with God's good grace, you know, I'm gonna just keep moving forward one step at a time. This is
And
bigger
I
than me.
think
This is his plan. This is not my plan. You know what I mean? I had to go through it to understand it. That's all.
I think the amazing part is that these young men look up to her, and she recognizes, you know, the little things that they do. Like while I was there, another gentleman told her he just got accepted to college, and he was so excited about it.
Really?
And you know, she stops wherever she's at and gives them 5-10 minutes of her time, and she listens to them. So these kids flock to her because she listens, and half the time that's all these kids really want is someone to hear them and to know
yeah,
that you care.
yeah. So they can have
Then what do I
guidance.
tell them?
Yeah, the guidance is very important in somebody's life.
Amen.
It's like I was saying the other day, you know, my grandkids, you know, I'm the person who's gonna be stern, be firm, but at the same time they gravitate towards me all the time. They, you know, they want to be with me, and just, you know, because I have understood that, you know, a human being, humanity needs guidance, and when you start showing that guidance to somebody, they'll like it. Believe me,
Right.
they'll love it. They don't know how to handle it, but they'll love it. And as soon as I start learning how to handle that responsibility, the guidance, they're gonna feel way better than what they feel right now. You understand? Because they got direction in their life. You know, one of the other things that I know that you guys asked about, it was about the domino effect, how I call it, right? The domino effect. You know, and I think one of the questions was, how do these things affect their brothers? That's
Right,
what it
the
was?
family.
That's how it
Mhm.
was?
The family.
Okay, the family. Okay, do you have a clip on that one? We're going to show you right now that clip when they ask about how do they think. Man, I'm talking too much. What is it? You was there? You say
It's
it?
all right.
You
So
say it.
yeah, we're gonna talk about how joining the gang affected their family.
Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Clip now, guys, all right? Wait, 1, 2. I want to do everything.
Together. This is what we taking on together, nigga. You feel me? You gonna ride together, nigga. You my brother. You feel me? But I know that a lot of the shit that I did had an impact on him because he was seeing me do it. You feel me?
Right.
Regardless as to what he was being exposed to in the street, he was still exposed to it at home because I was doing it no matter where I was. Me gang banging.
question because I asked a flip question because, as you see, we're talking about the men and the boys. So I said, the one gentleman said he had a sister, and I was like, well, how would you feel if your sister joined? And we didn't get to elaborate on this question, but he talked about how he would not allow the gang to pimp her out. And so what these young ladies need to learn coming into these gangs, you're pimped out. Like, you have to do whatever the gang tells you to do. And if the gang's going to sell you for the day to a couple of people, that's what's going to happen to you. So he and I didn't get to really elaborate on that. I do plan to do follow-up interviews with them. But they talked about their family falling apart, being torn apart, and it affected them.
Because they joined the gang.
And then they also talked about having to keep their family safe and not, once you're in a gang, you're marked. And at any point in time, anything could happen. So they talked about having to keep their moms safe and their families safe. And a lot of times that's why the kids leave home.
Sabrina.
Yeah.
What is your take on this? What's your I don't want to say your take. What is your take? What is your take on this? How a decision like that would affect you as your family?
Okay, I have to take a deep breath for that one.
I feel you. I feel you.
Being a parent dealing with a situation such as this is never a comfortable situation to be in. You feel like you're constantly exposed to putting your life on the line for something that you didn't sign up for. So why you got to pay the price for it?
Yeah.
I mean, just living in the flesh, this is how I see it.
No.
Then in comparison, I think about the same question and I say to myself, Jesus Christ put that cross on his back and he died for us. And he didn't sign up for that. So I'm not greater than him. And if this is what my call is, then this is how I have to learn how to work safely through it. So, I still see my son. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I still see my son. I still bring my son and his brothers, together so that they can do whatever it is that they do. They can gravitate, they can catch up, chop it up, how they call it nowadays, and still have a sense of connection. But it's scary.
So in a way, then what you're really telling us, right? Because you're the person who are the most closest to a situation like this, and you're the one who's dealing with all these situations in Florida. But what I take on what I learned from you, at this moment when you are saying the story, I can learn that there's a way that we can continue. Not just take our sons, our daughters, and push them away because
that's not the purpose.
All right, because of the danger of the situation. Because sometimes what we do is we let the danger of that situation really push that person away because you don't want nobody else get hurt. You know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna talk right now on my experience. Right. One day I'm in the sofa watching TV, and I hear somebody knocking on my window. Like, this guy must be crazy, knocking on my window just like that. When I looked outside, it is a girl, and she's screaming. And I'm like, who are you? And she comes and tells me, nah, because on Rocky, I want Rocky to come out. Oh my goodness. I'll be honest. That's Rocky's my son, the oldest one, right? And he got into a couple of situation like this too, the same similar situation. And he was in a gang and everything. And the whole gang was outside. And the guy who lead the gang, he knows who I am. So I'm telling him, I said, listen, man, you know me better than anybody around here. I could care less about all of this, and you know me really good. So tell your sister, whoever it was, this is my house. This is not Rocky's house. And if she get it with me, it's going to be something different. It's going to be a real different story. And at that moment, I realized how serious a situation like that can turn into in a moment. Because I have maybe like 20, 30 kids in front of my house.
Right.
And I had to take my son out and say, you know what? You looking for help from this and that? Come on. Y'all gonna fight like guys, like boys. Come on. And I closed the door and I said, y'all fight and y'all sort it out yourself. Y'all don't have to jump anybody and do now. Obviously, when I did that, I'm not the person that I am today. I would have handled the situation very differently, to be honest with you. I'm just telling you the story, and whatever happened at that moment, I would have done everything differently today with what I have learned, where I'm at, the maturity that God have put in my heart, and all of these things. But firsthand, I have tasted the danger of that kind of situation, which is very understandable. What is it that how is it that you, because, I need people to know. I need people to learn from you. And for you to tell them, how is it that you handle this situation? Like, you let your other kids see his brother and do all of that. And exactly is what you're telling me right now. Yes, you do. You do it, and I think that is a major point, major victory, to be honest with you, in this kind of situations.
Amen.
Because if you kill that last straw, that last, hope that we have in family, now they definitely gonna go and stay with that family. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I don't think that's what we want. What we want is for them to open up and do what these kids are doing today. For some people, they might gonna see this video and they're gonna see like, oh, they got hoodies and stuff. Yeah, they have to have all of that. Right. Because what they doing goes against, against a lot of things. Right. I know that for a fact because I know how it is.
That's why I was careful about what questions I asked them. I wanted to ask them things that wouldn't incriminate them, but yet they could be open. And I was really amazed with how open and honest they both were.
Really?
Really. Like, I didn't expect that. They're young gentlemen who, come on, they're getting.
They just misguided. Yeah. They misguided. That's all.
But when we actually sat down and talked to them and they opened up, it was like, okay, they still are 16, 17-year-old kids.
Yeah, they still got a lot to learn.
Yeah, and it saddens me where they're at in life. But at the same time, we have to do something to help these kids, because if we don't do something now, it's just going to get worse.
What kind of help do you guys have, Sabrina? This is a question for, obviously, but it's what kind of help do you guys have as the facility? Let's talk about if you guys have facilities, if you have places where you can have meetings. Do you guys have help like that in the state or in the community?
Right now, I'm pretty much doing everything out of one central location, and that location is non-disclosed, but I don't have a location.
Okay.
I definitely have been treading waters to try to connect with the community, in that sense. But it's been a little bit difficult. There's always kind of like, the little roadblocks. It doesn't mean that it's not going to happen.
I know.
It just means that it takes time.
Yeah.
But I do feed these kids.
And well, in the sense of we say, unity, right? I guess you're not finding much out there yet. Let me ask you a question. Do you see other organizations, churches, community leaders, somebody that is working with this issue over there? And how big is this issue where you live at?
Nobody's touching down on this issue. It seems like this is just my issue at hand for the moment.
Yeah. Don't worry.
There's not a lot of noise being made regarding this issue. It's amazing how we have gang enforcement units out here, but we don't have gang intervention.
Really? How's that?
There's a lot that's going to entail in this, and I know it's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. Ultimately, that's not the goal. The goal is just to get some aid to actually bridge this gap, because I see it like this. Again, I'm going to go back to the demographics and the stereotypes. Okay. When you live in a higher paying area, where you have these higher class, upper class people, they have access to all these amenities and resources for their kids and they make it happen. Whereas us being in the lower graphic, place in that area, the minority, we don't have as many resources. And it's a shame because we don't come together in numbers so that we can make that something that our community can thrive off of as well. Our kids matter, but the fact that they don't have anything to offer, it throws them directly behind a cage. And now we throwing them into this corporate America $1 billion scheme. And I mean, it gets really deep when you sit back and you analyze how everything is mapped out.
And I think too, Sabrina, we're failing our kids with the educational system that we have.
Absolutely.
We need to be teaching these kids entrepreneurial skills. We need to be teaching them how to save their money. Like I remember when I was in school, we learned about having a bank account, having writing out checks.
Education. Yeah.
None of this financial education is out there for these kids. They're not taught
No,
how
it
to
isn't.
budget.
And that was that, Dana, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, that was one of the reasons that I went ahead and I put up a post implementing that I'm scouting for an intern that may be majoring in finance to be able to come and at least have a basic skill training put together for some of these members that, come to see me regularly. And I'm willing to offer them community service hours for that, so it's something for something. Nobody's losing out. You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to think about this in areas where it's going to be a productive year for everyone.
Yeah. We just, sometimes we just think, right? And we look for the ways to try to help community and do all that. But you're saying something that is very important. If the community, I'll say, well, if the leadership of the community, our local leaders, our major congressman, the other one, and the people who are in the community dealing with this situation, if these people don't get involved to help, or one way or another, we need to get these people to get involved.
Right.
To make them see what is it that is really going on. My computer is...
I agree with that.
There's so much budgets out there and stipends and different types of grants that we could utilize to help these kids. It's just a matter of applying for them, figuring out exactly what we need and where it's going to go. And one of the things Sabrina and I talked about is something as simple as maybe getting a mobile vehicle to go around town and drop off some bagged food to these kids, like a sandwich, a piece of fruit, and a bottle of water. Because again, not only are these kids living in the street, they're not eating. Both of those gentlemen are so thin.
Really?
And the one kid, believe it or not, Pastor Carlos, he works a 9-to-5 job.
Look at that.
So I look at this kid and I say, you're making money. Why are you starving?
It's mismanagement
of funds. He does not know how to manage his funds.
And right now he's using all the money for the gang and everything.
For the wrong
else.
things.
Yeah,
But the kids go in days on
But
end
this
without
is what they're
eating.
exposed to. So, unfortunately, when you're exposed to something long enough, it becomes habitual. So you have to kind of like take yourself out of that situation. And it's difficult to do. Again, I'm going to say it, when we don't have resources to supplement with.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the main issue. That's the main issue. Resources. And how do we get these resources? And basically, this is one of the big issues right now that we're dealing, and this is what we do in this program, because we just don't want out there people, community. Listen, I'm talking to the community right now. We just don't want to show you an interview and how good and oh my God, they're doing a good job. I want you to get involved.
Right.
You have to understand. I'm gonna tell you just right. You need to get involved.
Sabrina has a GoFundMe page where she's only trying to raise $500, and the sad thing is, it's been up for maybe already a week and no one's donated at all.
We gotta put that page out there. We're gonna do all this stuff. And remember, guys, all these things that we're doing right now, the money's not for us. We don't want.
Nope.
We're not asking money for us. You know,
Not at
we're
all.
asking for you guys to get involved so you can help somebody like Sabrina all the way in Florida. You know, and she's doing things to better the community and to better the families. You understand? We just heard from kids. Listen, these kids are not in that interview because they want to show up or they don't even know they were coming into this thing, for Christ's sake. They don't even know how many people are going to watch them through this channel. They're just doing something out of good, you know, out of you know, they screaming, man. This is what they doing. They screaming for help.
They are.
This is the way
Right.
they scream for help.
Right.
They say, you know what? I'm not allowed to be here with another set, with another member, but I'm gonna put something in here and I'm gonna let you know what's going on. So maybe you can help me. Maybe you can
Right.
listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
And that's what these kids needed, was someone to hear them. They're such smart young men. They just aren't making the best choices because they don't have the best opportunities.
No, and you know, it's crazy, right? Because they give right now what they did. They gave ground.
Right.
They gave us ground. That's what this is what they did. We win. We have won ground on this battle. So what happened next? We have to provide. And that's what the problem is coming. We don't have the people and the money and the resources to provide for somebody that is screaming for help. And you know why this happened? It's because us, the people who are doing good, the people who doesn't have that problem, the people
Right.
who's over there,
That have the
they're
money.
not. That's right. They're not being considerate and say, you know what? Let's help these people. Let's help these people. You know, help these kids. Because you don't get it, you know. If we help kids at that age, when they come to our age, they good. They don't have to struggle.
Right.
We don't have to go through so many things. Listen, man, God doesn't say things just to say it. When he said, instruct the kid, so when he grows up, he's going to stay on the path, it is for a reason. It's for a reason.
You know what's amazing? So, of course, being the spiritual person I am, in the beginning of the interview, before we even began, I bowed my head and I grabbed, I believe Sabrina was sitting next to me's hands, and I started to pray. And I never looked up until my prayer was over. And when I actually got home and watched the video, the kids were holding hands. They had their head down and they said amen. And during the interview, the one gentleman talked about the Holy Ghost.
Really?
So I just think like this interview was such a blessed meeting, not just for me to listen to these kids open up, but for the kids to open up and get new ideas. And I was able to pray over everybody, and it was just such an amazing. You wouldn't have expected that type of interview from gangbangers.
I want to show you guys the last clip. This is the last teaser that is gonna go for you guys. Remember, the whole interview with the kids and everything done is coming out next week on Color Tyze. Be prepared, be advised, you know, look for it because it's coming on Monday, right? It's coming out Monday, Tuesday. Check it out because the whole thing is coming. But we have a teaser for you guys. What he says, you know, the question was asked, and you correct me if I'm wrong, guys, okay? Because I'm reading out a paper. You guys was there as witnesses, all right? And not Jehovah's Witnesses.
No. Don't confuse the witnesses.
Okay. The question was, what would you tell the younger generation? And this is what they have to say.
So it's like, bro, get your head right, you know what I'm saying? Keep your shit up. Like, I'll smoke a blunt with them, just try to, like, get in their head for it. Like, nigga, the streets ain't in, nigga. Just do what you gotta do, bro.
So you actually encouraging other kids not
Not to do this shit, nigga, because there's a lot more to what it is. Like, the minute them hands is put on you, when you sign your life to this shit, you know there ain't no backing out, nigga. It's, like,
It's real.
your life is gone.
What advice would you give them just based off of the experiences that you've had to deal with as a gangbanger?
Yo, to be real, I don't mean to cut you off if you was about to say anything, bro, but on the side that I stay on, bro, I be trying to get the kids' head right. Like, I know just that are really, really out here slinging shit, really out here bodying. Like, the kids that I'm around, nigga, they 14, 15 year old with more money than I've seen at that age.
Okay.
So it's like, bro, get your head right, you know what I'm saying? Keep your shit up. Like, I smoke a blunt and just try to, like, get in their head for it. Like, nigga, the streets ain't in, nigga. Just do what you gotta do, bro.
So you actually encouraging other kids not to
Not
join?
to do this shit, nigga, because there's a lot more to what it is. Like, the minute them hands is put on you, when you sign your life to this shit, you know there ain't no backing out, nigga. It's like,
It's real.
your life is gone.
What?
So here we go. You heard from the guys who are in a gang. You know, when you ask them, you got the opportunity to hear straight from them what they will say. You know, they will tell the kids not to go there because it's one story when you join in, but once you're in there, it's a different story, way different story. And because I have not been a gang member, doesn't mean that I don't know what it is. I think I have lived my life next to things like that for so long that I know what it is. Okay, I know what it is. I've been in there. Everybody know my story. You know, I have done time and all of the good things. I call them good things, and you might be surprised, but I do call it good things. You know why? Because all those things that happen in my life led me to cry to the one who can take me out of there, which is, you know who it is, right? It's the Christ. This is what we're talking about.
Amen.
You know, he's the one who let me out.
Amen.
You know what I mean? When I was in those places. But if you wanted to analyze an answer and to really understand if that person is comfortable in the gang, that's the answer. If I'm comfortable in a place, I would never tell you, don't join. If you ask me today, and you tell me, Carlos, you in the best gang ever. Yeah. My gang is the strongest gang in the universe.
I know that's right.
Which is, I belong to Kingdom Cloud. You know what I mean?
Yep,
That's
it.
who we are, from the kingdom. And if you ask me today, Carlos, you think it's good to join that gang? I will tell you, nothing better in your life is going to happen. You will have never experienced something that great to belong to this gang that I belong now. This is the gang where you need to be. You see? Because I like where I'm at. But if a guy like that says, you know, something like that, and he asks him, say, what do you think about being in a gang, you know, about all the kids? And he'll say, I will tell them not to join. There's a reason why that's happening.
That took me back. I could not fathom, you know, you're talking about this money and fame and family and stability and everybody's there for each other, but yet you'll tell the younger generation, don't sign your life away. And he went on to talk about how once he signed his life away, that was it. He even wound up dropping out of school because he'd be in school and the gang's calling and he's got to go.
Yeah, he got to do what he got to do with them.
Right there and then. And then he went on to talk about he's considered a big homie. He's one of the bigger people in his set. He has 150 people in that state under him.
Okay.
You know, so at this point in his life, no one calls him and makes him run around. Now he does the calls and has other people run around. But he's so young.
Yeah, and you know, at the same time, you know, it's sad.
It's
And he
very
has such a
sad.
heavy responsibility on his shoulders for being so young, which is even sadder.
But
Right.
I'll tell you something, Sabrina. You see these kids right here? They are in charge of 100 and something people. What that tells you?
Well, see,
But
that's
he's
what
an
sparked my
influencer. He's a
interest.
leader. Things can change. and
That's
he's
right.
That's
She
gonna
said it.
direct
That's
his
what
way.
sparked my interest. And I said to the kid, oh, my God, you know, think about what you're doing. You're taking pharmaceuticals, right? I'm not going to say what it is, but you're taking pharmaceuticals. You're buying them at a wholesale price, and then you're able to sell them and make a profit. And not just you, but you give them out to your friends. So all of you are entrepreneurs. You're working these crazy hours, doing whatever you have to do to make sure that you can bring money home and feed your family. Like, you don't think about, you're a leader, you're a boss, you're a manager. You're able to keep an eye on 150 people and make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to do. Man, you should be running your own business.
That's how you know. How how and who it's really doing all this damage, right? And I'm gonna explain myself. People like that when it goes to gangs and stuff like that. If you really see them, they have so much skills on leadership, on being they charismatic. They are people.
Right.
That people are drawn to them, and the enemy is gonna use all these things and use them to do the wrong thing. And sometimes, we get clouded. Our minds get clouded, and instead of us to look for potentials and look for what the Holy Ghost can do with this person, we start looking at the negative thing, and it doesn't let us see what is it that this guy have that people follow him. Sometimes we think it's the gang. It have nothing to do with the gang, man. It has to do with the person.
Right.
Most of these kids have been chosen, have been, elected by God. They have been touched.
He's marked.
If you see this kid and you start, I bet you right now, and I know some people are going to say, well, Christian don't bet. I'll do because I bet on God all 24/7.
Radical Jesus, savage Jesus.
But what I'm saying, I'm so sure that I could go to these peoples, right? And I could talk to these kids, and majority of these kids, they all have traces of the gospel in their lives.
Amen. Amen.
In their houses, in their families.
Amen.
You can see all the crumbles in their houses. People who have been raised under the teachings of the church, teachings of God. Most of them, they all know God, and their families have been, going to churches and stuff like that. If you see, you're gonna see, and there's a reason why. It's because the enemy he's hunting, and his hunting grounds are he's not gonna go pick up just anybody. He's gonna go pick up people that he knows that they have those skills.
Yes.
Because he's gonna use that in order to keep spreading his death and his stuff.
Yeah, to his advantage.
That's right. But we need to see things differently. You understand? This is the reason why we put this kind of interviews out there, raw, straight up. There's no editing, no, okay, can you say this for the camera? Don't say nothing for the camera. I'm like that, man. I say whatever.
Exactly.
That's right. Because if not, then you're not going to understand what really is going on.
And I
know
think
what I mean?
having the two guys together, they were able to feed off of each other. The energy was good.
Right.
And the conversation I was really just floored by the way that they opened up and were honest and would give answers like, no, don't join the gang. But then when I turned around and said, well, knowing what you know today, go back in time, would you still have joined? And they both said yes.
Really?
And they both said, because I'm built for it.
Yeah, it's part of the...
And they also talked about how joining the gang changed them as a person.
Okay.
Like the demands that were on them, the things that they have to do, change them. And so I guess being in the street, being
it changes everything, Dana.
It's very cool. You know what?
If not for nothing else, it changes the dynamics of everything.
Of course.
I think this is very cool. It's very fresh, very clean, very new, very open. What you guys are doing in Florida with Color Tyze. Don't stop. You got our help 24/7. No questions asked, let's go and let's do this. Actually, I'm here right now and I'm just kind of thinking,
Exactly.
Yeah, because me, I start thinking and I picture myself going over there right now and just, go to a powwow and have an interview with all these guys and just talk to them, I'm going to feel just right at home and I can talk to them straight up, you know what I mean? They might going to think, whoa, pastor is coming. Pastor is not going to talk to you like the regular pastor.
Right.
But I'm not.
It takes people like us to reach people like them.
Yeah.
And these kids are just crying out for love. They want someone to listen.
Exactly. And you couldn't have said that any better, Dana. Like, not for nothing. Dana could tell you, when these boys leave my home after a meal, I tell each of them something before they leave. And that something is exactly this. I love you. Make good choices. You are validated and you are important.
That's right.
Upon entry into the home, the one gentleman, I looked at him and he said hi. He reached out his hand and I smiled. I asked, can I give you a hug? And he said yes, and we hugged for like a good 3-4 minutes, and I don't think anyone's hugged that kid in a long
See,
time.
and that speaks volumes because I have other ones that don't know how to receive being hugged.
Many.
Right.
Many of them, they don't know how to do that.
How to receive
Right.
being hugged.
No.
Right.
And we have to
that's so
show them.
sad.
Yeah, we have to show them. They have to hear from people who've been where he at and not being scared to show the world who you are right now. That's what I do. And, I got all my friends, like always, and I talk to all of them. But they know what I'm all about right now. You understand what I'm saying? And I just don't go over there with a new mask and say, oh, I'm a new man. You did not, man. I'm just going to talk to them, enjoy the moment. And let
That would be great. I'm pretty sure that they would actually receive that with open arms.
listen, I'm willing to go. To be honest with you, I'm kind of, I feel. And, I know, I feel it, and I know in my mind that, my heart, that very soon we're going to have to go there as a group. Roots will go over there and ColorTyze. We take a weekend or something, and we go and we just do a powwow with the kids, and we just chill and have fun. We record everything, and so people can see. So you guys can see, what's going on and what we're doing, man. I think it's time for us just to come out of the shell, man, and start being, it's really nice to go on a Tuesday to church and praise God and honor. It's fine. It's all that is good. But it's time for us just to go out
into the
and
field.
do what we got to do in the field.
It's time to become proactive.
That's right.
And productive leaders.
We got to go out into the field and find that one.
We really have to.
And, it was an amazing interview. And I know that the young gentleman got back with Sabrina the next day. And
it was actually 2 days later, they know.
Okay. The 2 days later. And
but nonetheless, it actually gave it enough time for him to resonate on it. That's what really blew me away.
And so the things that I spoke to him about, like, don't you want to live life without having to look over your shoulder? Wouldn't you like to try to make that same kind of money? What if we could teach you a skill where you can make that same kind of money or close to it legally? And he's so open to all of that and came back with great ideas, and he wants to get this stuff started.
Yeah.
So what are we doing, man? Let's save our youth. This kid, he works a 9 to 5. What gangbanger do you know that has a legitimate job? None.
These are not bad kids. They are just in bad circumstances.
They're not.
And
they're
what
hurting.
really upsets me is like, how can you break a pattern if you don't take a moment to understand it?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to understand it. And sometimes we want to go and change things. The community, right? The body of Christ have wanted to change things like that, but without understanding. They want to go in there with their own tools, with the old tools that we always use. We want to
But that's the old way, see. And so far, like on one of your previous shows, there was a gentleman that made a really good point when he said, we got to come up with a different formula if you want something different.
Yeah.
I'm going to piggyback off of that because that sat really, really deep with me because, I look at it with what I'm doing with Color Tyze and I'm like, well, all the old approaches don't seem to have any effect. But wow, I give this kid a hug and it's like it opened a whole new door. Wow. Hi, Mom. How are you? And I'm looking like, okay, this is somebody else's child, but nonetheless, I would want somebody to treat my child the way I'm going to treat this one.
That's the key right there. That is the key.
You understand what I'm saying? It's about love. It's about giving back. We can't make nothing productive happen if we do it with a hateful spirit.
It's basically how it is. Guys, the time is here. I think
the time is now.
Yeah, the time just flew, man. It's like 9 o'clock already. My goodness. I think we got to do like a second part or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
But guys, listen, we have to go. Sabrina, thank you so much for being with us tonight to show the world, and open your house, open your life to people so they can see, what's going on, what it takes, Guys, I'm talking to the family right now, to everybody who's watching us, remember to help us. Go to rootslivingministry.com. If you want to donate, go to rootslivingministry.com, donate. You want to donate? Go to ColorTyze and donate. You know, these are two organizations who's working, hand by hand with hunger. We working with people who it's in need. We're working with young kids, which it's our first priority. Roots, since day one, it's always been focused into the youth community. and there's a reason for that. The reason is God has told us to work on that area. It's that simple. You understand? We can choose. We can pick and choose where we want to be.
Amen.
And it's fine. You can do that. But if you want to be effective, listen to what God is telling you. Listen to where He's sending you, and go there and work. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people out there who's listening to this program right now who have been touched. A lot of people who have been for a long time. God is telling you for a long time to put your hands in there and start working. And I don't know who He's talking to, but obviously He's talking to a couple of you guys. And He's telling you that this is the time. You know, listen, you don't have money. Maybe you can volunteer. You don't have time to volunteer.
Right.
You can share the program. You can
That's
come
right.
to us. There's so many things you can do. You know, this is not only about money or time of volunteer. It's about putting ideas together. It's about helping us share the word of God. You know, when we have so many programs in this channel right now.
Or how about somebody out in Florida who can help these kids out with some entrepreneurial
Right.
Hello,
classes?
people in Florida.
Teach them how to be a barber.
Something.
You know,
Right.
we could take people and feed them, but if we teach them how to fish and get their own food,
Exactly.
they're set for life, man.
Exactly. And you know
And
that,
they're
that
open to that. They're open
you
to
couldn't
those
have said that any
ideas.
better, Dana. I mean,
Así
there's
que-
so many programs that I have lined up that I want to see actually transpire with ColorTyze for the beneficial, outcome of these kids. But
Okay.
we got to take a step at a time. And right now, the biggest step that I need is support to get this up and going.
That's right. That's right. So, guys, please help us share this program, like it. We have to go. Remember all our sponsors, Dana's Travel, Lace by Loud, Connect Marketing Solution, Synergy, listen,
Surge 365.
all of that, which you guys know, and you always listen to us. Go to our page, go to our social media, help us in any way you can. Guys, we have to go. See ya. Sabrina, thank you for being in here.
Thank you very much
Sabrina
for
is the
having
CEO,
me.
director of Color Tyze. Remember, guys, I guess I gave you all the information and everything. We got to
That's
go.
it.